First of all, let me say that this is more or less the ongoing strategy that we have put in place. Of course, the big issue is how we are a green and resilient city, what I will be talking today. But also, the energy part is very important, how cities are using and consuming energy, but not also consuming, but producing energy, and all the issues about the batteries and how we will storage the energy. But I won't go too much in this detail about this. Also working, and I heard several other deputy mayors talking about being a city that tests, that innovates, and this is very important to work as a laboratory and to have cities as a laboratory. They are the right places to test things. We don't do anything without data, and also work in the next generation, how we will put the next generation with a new way of dealing with the world and all the things, and we had very nice presentations about this before. So, regarding mitigation, where I will talk in the beginning, Porto, by the way, is not so, in terms of CO2 emissions, is not so bad in terms of comparison with other cities. We have been working in all these issues through a lot of years, so since 2006 with the Aalborg Charter until this year. Well, we are just submitting the Covenant of Mayors, the new Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy in the next month. And these were the target that we had for the Covenant some years ago, so between 2004 and 2020. You know that the target for Europe was 20%, but we were ambitious and we said we will reduce to 45%. And where we are now is we have reduced until 2015. We are around 30, I believe, right now, 26%. But I must stress the situation which was the good evolution until 2009, so between 2004 and 2009, where we were very fast. As you know, we were not in crisis, so we were developing renewable energy, doing several things in the transport, introducing metro, several actions that were taken. When we got into the crisis and until now, where we are getting out of it, it all slowed down. And I think you have several of these situations around Europe. So right now, in terms of mitigation, we have been working several. I brought some examples. I believe that the public sector has to lead by example, so it has to give the example to population. If we want to introduce electric vehicles, if we work to work in decarbonization of our economy, we need to give the example. And if the public sector is not giving the example, it's very difficult for people to follow. So we have changed our fleet completely to electric and hybrid vehicles, and these are more or less the savings that we have. But especially we did it with a study, so comprehending what could be the vehicles that we could change to electric. This was due to having data for 4 years of our mobility within these vehicles. And also another challenge that cities face is that when you do this kind of change and you have so many vehicles that they have to charge in the same place, this is one of the major challenges that we have. And fortunately, we had a research institute working with us, and we have now more than 60 and 80 cars, for example, in a single place charging at the same time with load balancing. And this is the kind of solutions, innovative solutions that we need to have in place in order to move faster. Let me just say that the energy that I focused in the beginning is one of the things that we have really to work as a cities, and that's the importance of networks, and city networks are for these matters, because energy is the next revolution. I know there are several revolutions that are ongoing, but energy will change the world as we know it today with renewable energy and being ourselves able to store our own energy. And Porto is doing a lot of work in this. I didn't brought a slide to talk about it, but later we can discuss it. In terms of adaptation, we follow a program that was a very nice program because it involved 26 cities in Portugal, where we all came to build our own adaptation strategy. This involved a lot of technicians, platforms, and networks to discuss all the measures that we are taking together. So in terms of Porto, as you can see for the images, there are several problems that climate has been put into the city, and some vulnerabilities. These are some of the images that we have seen in the past years, and these are the kind of percentage that we have in terms of intense rain, which is one of the things that we have noticed in the last years that is becoming increasingly more often, but also coastal overtopping, heat waves, all these kind of things, and the percentage, or at least the intensity that we have seen it in the city. What will happen is that in terms of middle and long term, we will take care first of the things that will become more, in terms of risk, higher. So the coastal overtopping is a problem for us, which we know that with the measures that we are taking, and they will take a long time to be implemented. Only in the long term we can foresee some tackling of it. Intense rain also, and high temperatures. So all these kind of things we have been building. In terms of the adaptation options that we had, we have been working on all these actions and building a lot of measures that we will take in the future. As I said, this was done with a lot of municipalities, but not only with the municipalities, involving all the structure of the city, all the stakeholders that are external to the municipality, so the companies, the ONGs, everyone was participating in this strategy, because in the end, to build a climate adaptation strategy is for everyone, not only for the ones that are ruling the infrastructure or managing the infrastructure of the city. And in the end, as we always want, it's time to score, not only talking about the plans or the strategy, but how we will implement it, how we will take care of it. And we are currently undergoing a program where, of course, due to the amount of money that is involved, we are finding funding for some of these measures, European funding. We have medium and long-term options that there are some uncertainty that how we will make them happen. In the short-term options, and right now 22 of them are already in progress. One of the things that I mentioned there is that, Jeff, which did the introduction, mentioned it, is the planning instruments. We are undergoing reviewing the planning of the city, and all these measures will be taken in consideration in the planning. So the territorial is very, very important to take in consideration if you want to build a resilient city. These are some of the examples in terms of adaptation, which I will mention. So the first of all is the fifth facade project. So the top of the buildings, and now we can implement green roofs. If you go to Porto and if you ask people if there are green roofs in the city, they will say no, there are none. We don't know any green roof. But in reality, we know they are, and but people, they even don't notice that they are in green roofs. Like, for example, this is the top of the metro station, or a commercial building in the center of the city, and people don't notice that they are in a green roof. And we did a very big project that allowed us to more or less to understand there are 131 green roofs in the city, and 11 acres are made of this green. And we also did, in this study, we understood that 25% of these buildings are potential buildings to put green roofs. So imagine what you can increase in terms of green in a city using the roofs. We did this, and we took some cities in Europe that have done a huge job in this subject, and we took the best practices from them. And we have currently also the implementation of the next phase, and how we could do this in the city with specific measures for the planning and specific incentives for the people that want to do, because this is not for the, it's also for the public sector, but especially for the private sector, and how we can make this move faster. And we are working currently also on these incentives. We have of course, one of we are recognized as a nature-based solution for resilient cities using this new policy that we are trying to implement. Another project that has made us, that gives us a lot of fun, that I don't know, it's not because of that it's called Fun Porto, but it's for urban forest expansion in Portuguese. And this is a complete project that has several measures, and it's meant to increase the number of native trees that we have in the city. So increase our urban forest that we have in the city. And first of all, we have to involve the population. That's why we are telling the stories, how the old trees that we have in the city, what are the services that they provide to the populations, why are they important, and for the people to get aware of the number of trees they have in the city, but the services, and if they are not there, what they will lose with that. Another thing that we are doing, is Porto is a very dense city. I don't know if you've ever been in Porto, but we have a very high density of population. So what we understand, and if we want to increase our health or improve our health, we have to also to help the cities in the surroundings to plant more trees. So the place in the city where we grow our trees, we are also exporting and giving these trees to all the cities around. And this has been thousands of trees that we have been exporting to the metropolitan area. One other thing is that most of the green spaces that we have in the city are private. And we wanted to plant more trees, not only in the public places, but also in the private places. And we put in March a plan to promote the planting of these trees in private gardens. And it's called, If You Have a Garden, We Have a Tree for You. And during the past 3 years, we have given away around 6,000 trees. And one of the surprises is when you launch a program that is open to the society is if these trees will be just for one place in the city, if the population will only, for this place, will be the ones to respond. And we were quite surprised because most of the city was participating in this program. So sharing and putting the community work, it works. One other, we have a motorway that goes around Porto, and several of these places had no trees in it. So we said, okay, let's use this program also for building biodiversity on these large green areas and to plant also these trees there. So we have been doing this for the past years, several thousands of trees already, and the biodiversity is already setting there. Which it will take time, but we will have a lot of biodiversity in a few years because these trees are still small. We want people also to see them grow. So these are the kind of things that we have been put in place. We have also other green areas that are degraded areas. And instead of doing a new garden there or a new place for people, we thought, why not using it to build an urban land, okay, to have the ecological services, to have also the biodiversity, but also as a place where all the research institutes that we have in the city can do their own study, their own experimentation, and together with the citizens, how we can develop this native urban forest and testing all the services that we have been that they are testing in laboratory, but they can test in real life in a city. So this is the urban lang. This is the place where it's being built. In terms of the water management, Porto has a long history with water. As you probably know, Porto has the river, has the ocean, and for more than a century we have a separative water system. And we have been managing all the water cycle in a single management system. So we usually say all the water that you see in Porto coming through the clouds, the rain, or in the streams, everything is managed by a single municipal company. And by the way, a very successful company. And we have also, in terms of the water bodies rehabilitation, we have been cleaning and covering it. Porto has many streams that go underground and restoring them. And by that, we are using nature-based solutions for the bank stabilization. So it's very important if you want to rehabilitate that to use some of the nature good solutions that provide us. We have also very big projects undergoing. So the left one is a Sprella stream, so a river that no one even gets near. It will be a big park, but it will be one of the big dams that we will have in the city to cope with the heavy rain that it's coming in the near future. So when there is a heavy rain, this is something that I will have to explain to the citizens, is that it will become a lake. So someone in the other day told me, I think you better start explaining that the first news that will come in the newspaper will be, these guys made a mistake when they built the park. It's a lake. They did something wrong. So we have to start explaining this to the project. We are also, one of the biggest problems that we had was the Tinto River, and it's been totally rehabilitated, and it will open. It's more than 6 kilometers of river. It will open as a huge park in May 2019. It's a very nice project for a very well-known Portuguese architect. And I believe I'm more or less in time because someone told me 17 minutes, and I think I got the time correctly. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.